Hi everybody, it's me Patricia Cori, and I'm coming to you at last with my video on the joy of prepping. I thought I'd start out here in my office and just make a quick introduction before I move down into the kitchen, where I'm going to be showing you how simple it is to be doing dehydrating of foods for long and short-term storage, and also vacuum packing. It's like, this is such a no-brainer, and people have an aversion to it. Like, it sounds complicated. It isn't. It's fun, it's efficient, and if you know what you're doing as far as what you're dehydrating, it is extremely valuable for, like I said, long and longer term food preservation for whatever comes our way. So before I start, I just want to say that I have a tendency to make a game out of things, a joyful game out of things, to those who continue to say it's about being in fear. I think it's very exciting doing what I'm doing, and I'm working on getting the house solarized and water catchment. I'm doing everything I possibly can do so that I can rest assured for whatever emergency comes my way that I'm in good shape in the homestead, which leads me to a comment that I think is important. In my life, I've worn many hats. I've had a glamorous period of my life. I've had adventure, sacred journeys around the world, from the mountains of Tibet to the Nile to the Andes, Peru, and everywhere in between. And I've been blessed with living in Italy, and now in Portugal, and of course growing up in the States. I've had a very vast, rich life. And right now, my new persona, I forgot mentioning, I've been a spirit teacher, an author, and screenwriter, all these hats. Right now, my focus is being a pioneer woman and preparing for getting off the grid as much as possible, being secure in my domain, which I love. My home is my temple, and preparing my earth. Don't have a huge piece of land, but I've got a great piece of land for production of food, and who knows, I may even get a few chickens. So stay tuned. I'm going to be taking you downstairs and showing you how easily this is done with a few tips. And bearing in mind, I'm no expert about this. I just decided it was a great idea, and I jumped right in. And after burning out my first dehydrator because I didn't know what I was doing, I got another one right away. As they say, get back right on the horse. And now I'm dehydrating away. So hopefully I'll show you what that mistake was so that you won't make it. And off you go, because it's fun. It's really a trip doing this work. And of course, the machine does the work. All you have to do is cut up a few vegetables or fruits or whatever. So here we go. Let's go downstairs. Hi, everybody. So here I am down in the kitchen. It's the next day. I just couldn't get it together yesterday. I'm just delighted to bring you into my kitchen to give you an overview of what's going on. I think it's really amazing. I mean, I'm on day 32 now without having to go back to the supermarket. I only went to get some eggs. Otherwise, I was fully stocked and still am. And that's amazing to me, because I used to go to the grocery store every couple of days, which is, first of all, annoying. Second, consumes gas. And third, bumping into a lot of people I'd prefer not to bump into because of the various reasons that contact isn't the best idea at the moment. And having to wear the mask, which you can't get around, you can't get into the store. So if I go once a month, that's perfectly okay with me. But what I'm learning, well, first of all, as I've told you all, we get here on this island, we get some fabulous coupons. Twice a month, we get a 10 or 15% discount on everything purchased. And so I'll be going twice a month now that I've ended my test, although it's not over yet because I'm day 32 and still cooking. Sorry. And I think it's really important to start thinking about how you shop, how you do this. Vegetarian most of the time. I've been slipping now and then. Fresh food is of the utmost importance, as it is for many of you. And we don't have a great selection here of really great produce. I look at some of the pictures of the grocery stores in other countries and think, wow, Imagine what that would be like. Even in Italy, it wasn't too exceptional. But anyway, it's time to really figure out what you need to have on hand, what you need to eat, and how you can blend dehydrated food, which is my passion. In this little jar, there are 4 bags of frozen minestrone. Not such a little jar. Frozen food. Some people are getting canned food, which is kind of like the priority would be fresh, and then freeze-dried, which is very extremely expensive, and I don't think it's worth the money. But apparently it has the longest shelf life. And then canned and dehydrated kind of make a nice little palette of opportunities for different qualities of food and different storage times for food. I watched a video some time ago of this woman dehydrating. I thought, well, wait a minute, I have a dehydrator. I've never used it. So out came the dehydrator, which looks like this. But this is the new one, because I immediately burned it out, because I'm a pretty impulsive character, and I don't take too much time to read instruction books. So I did this first attempt, and the first attempt was okay. The second attempt, I put a bunch of frozen food in the dehydrator. It was way too wet, and it got into the motor. The motor is usually central. I mean, every dehydrator is going to be different, but central, so that it blows the air up through the center hole of the tray, and hence dries all the levels of trays. This particular one has 5 trays. So I put in too much frozen food. It was too much water. It went down into the motor and gone. So I said, okay, I get it, and bought another dehydrator right away. And I want to say, on the subject of dehydrators, there's every price imaginable. This one isn't very expensive, because I hear that they can burn out. Because if you're running the dehydrator like I am, which is every day I'm doing some dehydrating, I imagine they don't have an enormous lifetime. So I wanted to spend, I think I spent 60 euros on this. You can spend $250, $300. I would never do that, because if 60 euros burns out in 7 months, it's not painful. 250 becomes not a good idea for me. So my approach to anything, most things, is never get the high end, never get the low end. Go with a mid-range price. They pretty much all have a timer and a button to set the temperature, which stays relatively low, between 60 and 70 degrees centigrade will be the optimum for, at least from my experience, for drying fruits and vegetables. And then the other thing you want to have is a vacuum sealer. This is the vacuum pack sealer, which you can use to seal plastic bags, or you can vacuum pack them, meaning that it draws the air completely out of the bag and seals it, which you've seen in plenty of products. And here is the external piece. You plug in an external plug or cord into an external socket. And this is on my particular model, but you're going to want to be sure you get a model that has this and the cord itself. And then that plugs into the jar sealer. This exterior plug on the vacuum sealer needs to be a jar sealer, which unfortunately I haven't received yet. But when I do get it, the jar sealer device it's like a cap. It'll sit on the top of the jar, your full jar, and it vacuum packs the mason jar. So it's not like canning, which is sealed from within, but it sits on the top, and your vacuum sealer just pulls out the humidity, and then it's capped for, really, you can talk about 2-3 years of storage. There's all kinds of opinion about how long food can be stored. My personal interest is having a storage for about a year. And after that, we'll see what happens. You can always use it and always rotate the foods. The long-term storage potential of canned foods, which is written on the can, or dehydrated Depends a lot on how much light is in the room. Oops, I've lost my light. Got a storm outside. How much light gets into the storage area. You want it to be as dark as possible, as dry and cool as possible. But my approach to this is, well, I'll be rotating the food anyway. And that's a really important thing. You just keep doing this. You just keep dehydrating, keep buying, keep rotating so that your food is always, relatively fresh and you are always stocked. Because, and I don't want to be a preacher here, but we have every indication from so many people, experts far more than I, who are telling us, get ready, this is going to be brutal. And so people say, oh, Patricia, I wish you weren't in fear. And does this look like a face that's in fear? I am having the time of my life doing this work. I just love experimenting. It's a alchemical process, watching food lose its water, knowing that because of that, with the proper storage, with no air and no water, food that takes up half of your freezer space. I mean, I've got bags of broccoli, for example. I eat a lot of broccoli, and I can't always get it fresh, so I always have bags of frozen broccoli in the freezer, and my God, they take up half the freezer. I don't have a huge freezer space. So in this jar is 2 big bags of broccolis dehydrated. The other day I said, well, let me test how this works when you rehydrate them. And you know what? They taste great. The texture is great. It's incredible. So I'm having fun with this, and I want to turn you on to it and get you started. Get yourself a dehydrator and get yourself a vacuum packer, because these are essential for food storage. I've been buying some things like power bars. But the problem is, Mama Bear keeps nibbling. When I seal these little puppies, I don't have as much desire to nibble on them because it's like, okay, this is part of my stash. And it's an interesting thing about food consumption, because I'm into this in many ways. I'm examining what this is doing to my approach to food. And what I find is sealing it up makes me lose my desire for it. I think there's behavior modification going on here as well, and I love it. Started cleaning out one of my food drawers in the house where I keep pasta. And lo and behold, didn't I find that in one of the boxes, there were some teeny tiny little bugs. Not a lot, but you only need one to ruin your day. It was a little, maybe it was a weevil. I thought they were bigger. But at any rate, the box went in the garbage. And so I took out all the pasta that I had and checked them all. And they were all good except for that one, which was quite old. Into bags they went. So now all of my pasta is in sealed bags. That's a rule of the house. Some of the bags come with your sealer, but you can buy extras. There will be no more weevils in the house of Cori, because from now on the pasta is sealed, and then when I use up this much pasta, I reseal it and back in it goes. Add in the jars these drying packs. You can get them. I got mine on Amazon. I don't know where you can get them where you are, but on my island you can't get them anywhere else. So you want to throw one of those in to help keep things dry. Vegetables for soup. What's this? Oh, this is a wonderful vegetable mix that I use as a saute. Just peas. 3-4 bags of peas here. And like I said, I'm using them to test it, and they're great. And that's very exciting. These are raspberries. They're very rarely fresh, so I dehydrated them. I made some muesli the night before I went to bed and woke up, and they were perfect. Perfect. Like fresh. I'm kind of amazed at that. I didn't think that the osmosis or the transition back to its regular form would be that good. Many of you are seeing the shelves emptying already. That's what I'm all about. But what I'm finding very interesting is that prepper tools or prepper foods, like I think it's called Mountain House foods, those pre-prepped foods, which are so expensive. You can do it yourself. They're disappearing. They're out of stock all the time. The mason jars are getting hard to find. The lids are very hard to find. It took me a month to get the sealable lids. People ask me, how long should it dry for? How do you know which foods need what temperature? That's pretty much described in the instruction books you'll get with your dryer. But also, you get attuned to it. You get a feel for it. And, for example, the other day I dried different things, vegetables and fruits, in the same drying event. And some got dry faster than others. I just took the rack out and left the others in. You get to experiment here. There's nothing written in stone. Get yourself stocked up. The feeling of being able to reach into, by the way, of course, by freeing up the freezer, I've got more frozen food in the freezer now. So think about how you buy food. Think about how you can get food on sale. Think about the supplies you need, the tools you need, and pay attention to the fact that a lot of people are thinking like me, and these tools are disappearing. I got my order in for 12 mason jars with the sealing caps. They've been out of stock. As long as you've got a tight-fitting cap, like the screw-on cap of mason jars, and I've got the silica packet inside, it will wait. It'll hold until I get my sealer, and then I'm going to seal them up and put them up in a cool, dark space. In the meantime, get a book, a great book. This is Dehydrator Bible. It's got, not only has it got all the information you need on how to dehydrate and store, but it's got fantastic recipes for dehydrated food. You might want to grab it if it's still available. It's an old book. I'm going to now show you some clips of the food, how I put it in to the dehydrator, how it works, how easy it is what I want to convey to you, how easy this is. And fun. It's fun coming downstairs after 6 hours of the dehydrator being on and seeing them already shrinking and realizing that food storage is really a piece of cake. It's so wise to get yourself these stocks of food, because when that crash comes, baby, and it is coming, you will be sitting pretty. That is not fear. That's smarts. Okay. So I'm going to leave you now. I'm going to show you some clips of what I've done in the meantime. I'm just going to fill up the rack for you, show you how it's done, and look forward to your feedback. Well, before I get going, I just had to show off to you my fresh sourdough homemade English muffins right out of the oven. And here's my sprouts, alfalfa sprouts and bean sprouts. I just love what you could do in the kitchen when you make a minimum amount of effort. Okay, so here we go. This is my dehydrator. As I said, we're going to load it up. So note that I have purchased these silicone sheets that some of them come with them, but some of them don't, and this one didn't, so I bought them because we don't want the juices and any other debris falling into the bottom of the cooker, which could eventually burn out the motor. That's a no-no. So yeah, I've got 5 trays in this cooker and 5 silicone pads, and I'm ready to roll. I've got a couple of pineapple trees on the way, but in the meantime, my favorite thing to dehydrate is pineapple, my favorite fruit. It dries into, well, it tastes like candy, actually. It's so good, and it rehydrates beautifully. So I've got 2 or 3, I don't remember, frozen bags of pineapple here. I slightly defrosted them to get the water out, and in they go. I love dehydrated apples as a snack. Oh my God, I never had an apple corer. What took me so long? Get yourself an apple corer. Sorry, I can't show you how it works very easily here because I can have trouble doing it with one hand, but there you go. Core up some apples. Turns out it's better if you peel the skin off when you've cored them, and throw them into the dehydrator. and prepare to have a wonderful snack on hand for you or the kids. I love citrus. I love citrus sliced, dehydrated lemons, limes, and oranges. They go in. And here's some more frozen. This is mixed. Well, Italians call it sofrito, finely cooked, finely chopped vegetables for making a base for your sauces and uh, gravies. They're in. And here you go, several hours later. Dehydrated apples, minuscule little crunchettes for my sauces and gravy. They work beautifully. They rehydrate immediately. And these wonderful apple slices, which you're used to buying, but probably have never made for yourself. They're such healthy snacks. I've got apples all the time dehydrated. They never get stored because I keep eating them. And just now I bought and put some of these spinach cubes. They'll be drying for a long while. Okay, that's all I got for you today, guys. I'll be back shortly with more information. In the meantime, think about it. It doesn't take a lot to do a lot. Where, if you're like me, I feel like I'm sitting pretty here, and there will be food. And that's, next thing to tackle is food for the dogs. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. This is Patricia Cori, inviting you to take care of yourselves like you've never done before. Signing out for now. Love you. Oh, and please push the subscribe button. I need your help. I need to reach more people and get those algorithms on my side. So if you enjoy what I do, please take time to push the subscribe button and the like button. I hate to keep asking like everybody does, click the subscribe button, but it helps. So please do. Take care. Love you.